here I go, choking on my silence. And I don't think you want me cause I wanna keep it private. And I don't think you know me if you're not one of my 5 friends. But it's my own fault, I can't give in. I have to go, suck up on the top.
I also found a blue robin egg at recess.
First did. Make sure you don't touch them, okay? Because sometimes if there's babies by them, the mommies won't come back for them. But look, Roman found a little robin egg. Thankfully, this one's already cracked, so it's like maybe the egg, after it hatched, it I think just blew in the wind. Because there's no baby or anything. It's just part of an eggshell. Isn't that pretty though?
Yeah, it is really pretty.
Yes. Have to go, suck up on the top. Interest in my grab though. Too many kind foes. The reason I struggle because I'm fucking shy. I never wanna show my face sometimes. And I got trouble looking people in the eye. Cause when I do, I just forget off. I wanna do it, I'ma feel like I'ma die.
Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I am Allie. Today's vlog is going to be all about the 24-hour Horrorathon. It is hosted by Ashley from Ashley's Little Library here on YouTube, but you can also find her on Instagram, I believe under that same handle, but you can also find the 24-hour Horrorathon on Instagram. It's just 24-hour Horrorathon. This is the 5th one, but it is my 2nd one attending, and I'm really excited, you guys. I have been preparing all month for this readathon, so when I tell you how my heart kind of broke at the last minute whenever I changed my entire TBR, oh my gosh. But I am doing my makeup right now. That's why I look the way that I do. I'm currently filming a beauty video. I'm going to be doing 3 looks with this beautiful Moonfall palette by Shroud Cosmetics, and we just admire it for a minute. So stay tuned for that, or it's already up and I'll link it up above. One way or another, it will be coming soon if it's not already up. But let's get into this. I'm going to be doing the rest of my face while I talk to you guys about this readathon. I did not come prepared, so I had to grab my foundation. I'm going to use the Flower Beauty Get Real. It's like their serum foundation. It's been a minute since I've used this, so hopefully I like it. I have already primed my face and stuff before I did my eyeshadow, so I'm just going to go straight into foundation. But I actually just recently posted my vlog from the Horrorathon that Ashley hosted in February, because what else is new? I'm always behind on posting, but it's a great community. I feel like we all have quite a bit of fun in a 24-hour span. And the first time around, it was honestly like intimidating at the time for me, but everybody was like really chill. And I did kind of feel like I missed out on some of it in a way. And I think I'm gonna miss out on some of it again because it's a little bit harder because it's a weekend readathon. But the reason I say all this is the fact that it is a bi-monthly readathon. So if you missed this one and you didn't participate with us, you can in 2 months. So that's just exciting because I feel like sometimes a readathon will come up on you and you'll participate and you're just like, you see how much effort people put into their readathons, but you have so much fun. And I mean, you understand like, okay, this might just be like a yearly thing, but at the same time, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for them to do this readathon again. It was so much fun. And I just feel like this is one of those. And so I am so excited that she does do it bi-monthly. But yeah, I will have all of that info down below, her channel, and as well as anything else, I guess, that I mentioned maybe in the last Horrorathon. There is a Discord for it, so you can kind of stay up with like what everybody is reading, as well as when the next one is going to be, and what the buddy read is going to be, because there is a buddy read, but there's also a movie because there's a watch party. So if you like that type of thing, then this is for you too. Now, it's always horror theme. She does just like a lot of readathons. They'll tell you, you don't have to read horror. If it's not your thing, you don't have to. But I can say the majority of the people are there reading horror. You don't have to read 4 books. You can actually just read the buddy read, or you can just read something that's already on your TBR that you want to get through. For me, I am always ambitious with any type of readathon, and I don't know why I feel like I get even more ambitious with this one when it's a 24-hour. So I had some really fun picks planned of books that I've wanted to read, and I've, for the last, like, at this point, 2 months, I've wanted to read Tell Me I'm Worthless. I've wanted to read that for like 2 months. Definitely had it down on the TBR, and then it got booted last minute, as well as some other books. So I don't know if it's going to be May or June, because I did go to the library earlier and I have some picks from the library. But May or June, I'm going to be doing a vlog with Tell Me I'm Worthless and some other horror books that I had planned for this. I don't think, I say May or June because I will more than likely do it in May, but it'll be posted in May or June. I don't think I can wait until the next Horrorathon because I really want to read the books that I had planned. This readathon usually tends to fall at the very end of the month, which is a good thing because you can plan for it all month, but it's also not a great thing because I joined like 6 book clubs this year, and usually the end of the month means crunch time for me, and that's exactly what I'm doing this weekend. So I quickly had to boot all of my TBR to the side and literally fill in my Horrorathon TBR with books that I am trying to finish for like my book clubs. There is so many live shows this weekend, you guys. It's not even funny, and there's no way that I'm gonna be able to participate in all of them. One book that has not changed from my TBR is Jawbone. This is the buddy read. I was very lucky to find it at my library, and it is a wild ride of a book, you guys. I feel like I'm still simmering on, like, what is my rating? I don't know. You guys will probably know before me because I will probably edit it in, but I'm still like trying to figure out and wrap my head around this book. So the Horrorathon did start last night. It starts 8 Eastern time. But I did read another book like all day yesterday, and then I paused that one. We'll come back to it because I'm gonna try to finish it during this 24 hours as well, hopefully. But I did pause it because Ashley, she starts off the Horrorathon with sprints on her channel, so I jumped over for the sprints and read Jawbone, and I felt like we were all kind of like on the same page as far as like how we were feeling about it. It is a book that's been translated from Spanish to English, and you know, a lot of people had a lot of critiques about it because the paragraphs are so long and it's just it's very wordy. It's very full on when you go into it. But at the same time, there are some parts where I don't know if I could call this book like pretty because it's a little intense, but there is parts where it was just like, I really like the way that was like worded, or I really like the way that that scene was told, you know? But it's very, very interesting. It's written in third person, and so it is explaining this type of story that sort of has a timeline, but at the same time, it's very jumbled. I feel like that is my biggest complaint with this. I kind of mentioned it in like the comments in the live show that, and a couple others that like agreed with me, and then others said that they were like following along pretty well or pretty okay with the timeline. But I just think it would have like made so much more sense to me if there was a little bit more of like a timeline, because I feel like you would be in one chapter and it would talk about the girls. There's like this group of girls. There's two girls who it focuses on a little bit more. Nanda and Annalise, I believe. Annalise, I think, goes by Anne a lot. Sorry guys, I've been reading back to back to back books, so keeping up with characters right now is like wild. But it focuses more in on them two and their relationship together, but there is a group of girls, and so some chapters like talks about them and it's almost like a coming of age story, but then it'll jump to Miss Clara, who is a teacher. She kind of talks about an incident she went through with a couple of students that like scarred her, and that is why she's no longer at her past job, and now she is being interviewed for a new school. And it kind of goes through her mind a lot. Like, it's usually just like jumbling through, going through, sorting out thoughts in her mind and what she's been through, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense until a little bit later in the book. And then it also skips to a little bit, so I feel like both of those are kind of like in the past. So you're getting a past POV of Clara and the girls, and that timeline kind of continues to go throughout the book. But in between that timeline, you have more of like a current or present timeline where Miss Clara has like taken one of these girls and is like holding her captive pretty much because of something bad that she has done. So yeah, it's a very strange way of telling a story about the things that this author is trying to get across, I guess. Really trying to like watch how I like say things, because like it really isn't like a bad thing. It's just not anything I'm ever been used to reading. It is very different for me to grasp a lot of what is going on and the way some things are said or portrayed. I also find it like a little bit strange too, because I feel like I don't really know how to feel about how serious the book gets, and then she throws in like a pop culture type of statement, or there's like a chapter here and there, and I know it's supposed to be like fixating on like the girls and, you know, their personalities and stuff, but that's when she throws in a lot of like the pop culture things that kind of throws me a little bit, because it's almost like you're not expecting it and then it just like a random celebrity is like brought up in conversation and you're like, where'd that come from? Like, I don't know. And sometimes I felt like I was reading about like a different place. Like, this isn't in our world because of how things were being worded or how things were, I don't know, like the different like metaphors, different actions that were taking place. But then it would all come like crumbling down whenever it would kind of like go back, and it's just like a bunch of these girls. I was also really confused with their age, because this isn't really a spoiler, but there is a part where these girls are like showing them like sneak into or try to get into like this college party. And that's when it first dawned on me. I'm like, oh, these are not middle schoolers. These are high schoolers. And I found that strange because I was like, they're so immature. So that was really weird too. As the writing style progresses in the book, I felt like even in some chapters, it almost felt like she would flip-flop, like from one point to like another point. And I think it was kind of like that person like thinking back to a time or thinking back to when something in particular happened. But I honestly think those parts, for some reason, my brain was able to comprehend them better than the chapter to chapter where it was just like, okay, where are we at now? I think I did forget to mention that this school that these girls go to and that Miss Clara is like interviewing for and gets a job for is, from what you gather, a very strict, I would assume like Christian faith based, but like super, super strict. And what I took away from the book was the struggles of being a young teenage girl these days. I felt like it was very raw, and I feel like that kind of all comes into play with the school being so strict. The parents are very strict. It kind of shows like the dynamics of like moms getting together and how they kind of like change their like persona and stuff around each other versus when they're just with their children, and like the fear of having that really, really strict parent. So I mean, I felt like the book overall was really good because it touches on so many of those subjects. But just in ways that I just never imagined it would. And it was, I don't know. At the same time, it's so hard because I know it's not a book that I could like recommend for just anybody. I definitely say go into it with patience, and if coming of age and very raw with horror elements, of like that growing up dynamic and, you know, weird, creepy twist in books is your thing, I guess. There's just so much compiled in the book, and it honestly to date is one of the hardest books I've read, just because the entire time my brain was like, how do I comprehend and take this all in? It was very different for me to read, and not in a bad way. It just, I don't think it will work for everybody. And honestly, I'm just gonna be real with you guys. I had to get on my, I think it was Hoopla. My Hoopla had the audiobook, and so I ended up listening to the audiobook and physically looking at it and reading along with it. And I didn't say anything at first, and then somebody else mentioned it. I think it was, and even Ashley was like, yes, I'm literally reading along with the audiobook because it's kind of hard for me to take this all in. And I'm like, same, that's exactly what I'm doing. So highly recommend that too if you do go into it, or if you pick it up and start reading it and you're like, wait, what? Or vice versa, maybe you pick up the audiobook and start listening to it and you're like, oh my gosh, I definitely recommend. It's going to be a little bit more time consuming for you to like, you know, just turn up the speed to like a level that's good for you and you're good to go. It is under 300 pages though, so it was pretty, I wouldn't say fast paced. I mean, you guys, these pages, okay, I've turned to like the shortest page, but these pages are pretty hefty, but it will take you a little bit. But I read this during the sprints, and I think I got about halfway through the book in 3 45-minute sprints. So that was pretty good. And then I just kept on reading, and I read until I finished it, and then started my second book all last night. I didn't go to bed until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So I did end up sleeping in a little bit. So today, Sunday, I am hoping to get through some more books. You guys, I got up this morning, got my latte, and was like, you know what? I'm just going to pick up the book that I was reading last night. I am going to finish my makeup still, but a lot to fill you guys in on, I feel like. But yeah, I started back up today with the writing retreat.
Do it, I'ma feel like I'ma die.
This This is the Literally Dead book club pick for April, Kayla's book club, and her live show is today at 2, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it in time because I have so much of this to still read. I'm a little bummed by that, but it is what it is. Last night, I also missed another book club and like wrap up. That one I was really bummed about, you guys, because it was the Stephen King one. We Read King. I joined in on this because he's one of my favorite authors and I really want to read all of his work, and I had never read the Bill Hodges trilogy, so I picked it up. I read the first 2. They're so beefy, you guys. The audiobooks are so good, though. I've been doing a lot of going back and forth. For a little while there, I felt like it was kind of starting to become like strictly audiobook because I was in the car a lot or just kind of like on the go a lot, so I had to keep doing a lot of audiobooks. Now I've gotten to a comfortable spot where I'm giving myself enough time every single day to, you know, take those breaks and sit down and actually physically read. But I've been reading such good books that I'm not getting anything done. And we've started so many projects that I was like, I'm just gonna try to get audiobooks for these, and thankfully my like library apps, Hoopla, Libby, and also Scribd has really helped in that department to where I can like jump back and forth. So don't judge me, that is the way I'm gonna have to do a lot of this readathon as well, because I got stuff to get done today. But I am over 50% in end of watch. I'm really hoping I can finish this book today and then maybe tomorrow or Monday. For some reason, I always think the readathon is Saturday to Sunday, but today is Saturday, you guys. So yeah, hopefully I can finish this today during the readathon so that tomorrow or Monday I can go back and watch the live that I missed. But I focused in on this one today. This is, where's the cover at? I'm sure you guys have seen it. I feel like almost everybody is reading it lately. But I read a few chapters of it last night, and while I was doing my eyeshadow, I was listening, so I'm actually a little bit further than what it says in this. I'm on chapter 21. Ooh, I've actually did make some progress while I did my eyeshadow. Let me see. I don't think that's too far. Oh. Okay, so I made it to part 3. This book is so pretty. This was my book of the month pick. But yeah, I just have that much left. I don't think I'm gonna make it in time for the live, which is actually okay because like I said, it's Saturday. I have a lot going on today. I am like literally shampooing our couch and like washing all of like the bulky pillows and stuff, and that takes forever. And getting some other stuff done around the house today. So yeah, my goal is to continue on this book. It is pretty self-explanatory. It's the writing retreat. No, there is 2 girls that kind of had a falling out of their friendship, and we kind of get introduced to both of them and their dynamic whenever they go to the book party for one of their mutual friends. And while there, the mutual friend sees that they're still kind of like not at each other's throat, but like not wanting to be around each other. And the girls, although they are no longer like friends, they do have a mutual liking for this author, which is like their all-time favorite author. And she hosts these events that are very like hush hush. Like everybody knows about it, but nobody ever knows the contestants, which I feel like is already a red flag. But she brings 4 people, writers, authors, to the retreat, the writing retreat, where they work on their writing skills. And yeah, it's supposed to be a good time. And it's always been their dream And when they were friends, they always applied and sent in their short stories and told each other, you know, we're going to root for each other. So if just one of us makes it, the other, you know, when they go far, they'll bring the other one along. But for some reason, they never make it. Well, fast forward to now, their mutual friend that they went to their party, she has put their short stories in and they get accepted to go. So they have to go to they're going to the writing retreat together, and it's just like very awkward. There's a lot of tension, and yeah, we get to meet the other people. So, and I believe instead of 4, there's 5 of them, and it's, I like the atmosphere of this book. I believe this is a new author. This is her first novel. And so I really like the atmosphere. I'm not really feeling a connection with the characters as much as I would like to. But it's very eerie and yeah, besides not really feeling a connection to the characters, my only other complaint is that I'm already over, well, maybe halfway or a little over halfway, and I'm still waiting for something to happen. And so I feel like it's kind of been a little bit of like a slow burn in a way, but at the same time, it's been really interesting too because of her writing process and kind of getting out of, kind of struggling with like writer's block and stuff. So, I mean, it's been entertaining enough, but the audiobook is great too. I've been enjoying it. It is on Scribd, and it's narrated by Gail Shalin. And yeah, I've been enjoying it. And the 4th book on my TBR is What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. I highly likely won't even start this book, you guys. I'm just gonna be real. I'm hoping I'll be able to at least start it before the 24 hours is up, but I don't know if that's gonna happen or not because my other picks are pretty beefy. I'm at least through 1, so I feel pretty accomplished to complete the buddy read. But I am hoping to finish this by this afternoon, and then tonight, before it's over, be able to wrap this book up. But we will see, you guys. But yeah, I'm gonna finish up my makeup. That's kind of the plan, just to get some stuff done around the house, listen, and then maybe take breaks and sit down and read physically, and then I will check back in with you guys in a little while and let you guys know what I think about the writing retreat.
Sorry if you hear this song. No, it's not you, it's me, I'm sorry. I don't wanna be the reason why you make this little lie. What's the point of having pointless conversations for one night? Cause I'm shy, I never wanna show my face sometimes. And I got trouble looking people in the eye. Cause when I do, I just forget I wanna do it, I'ma feel like I'ma die. I never wanna show my face sometimes. And I got trouble looking people in the eye. Cause when I do, I just forget off. And when I do it, I'ma feel like I'ma die.
You know you're not safe here. Whenever someone says you're safe here, it means you're not. Excellent choice. My favorite.
Hey guys, I apologize in advance if there's any issues with the audio or lighting or whatever. I mean, the lighting is not going to be great. This is just a lamp. So it's probably going to look pretty yellow, but it is Monday and have done a lot since I last left you guys, but I don't know, like this past weekend, I feel like I'm gonna have to just get better about just being like, okay, weekends, I just don't vlog. It's just hard when it's a readathon and I really wanna vlog it for you guys, but yeah. So I was exhausted Saturday, but I powered through and finished after I left you guys off, because I did my makeup that day, but I was just like, I was so tired. I don't have the actual slipcover with me, but I did finish the writing retreat. My thoughts have also simmered on Jawbone, and I gave both of them 3 stars. I was looking back on it because I'm planning my like wrap up for the month, and I literally had all 3 4 stars this month. I don't think I had a single 5-star, and had nothing less than a 3. So it's not bad. I feel like it was a pretty decent month. I just kind of felt like the more I like sat on this book, and I actually did, because I am trying to become a little bit more creative when it comes to like maybe a little bit of digital art. So I'll throw it up for you guys. I did work on a little Jawbone inspired photo I'm going to post to my Instagram at some point. But I worked on that a little bit while watching Scream 6, and then a little bit while watching, what is it, A Classic Horror Story? I think that was the movie, because I think I did forget to mention in the beginning of this that with the 24-hour Horrorathon, we not only are reading books for 24 hours that are usually, I mean, you can read whatever you want, but for me it is usually horror-based. This time around, it was a little bit scattered. I had horror, I had like crime fiction, but it's Stephen King, and this book did have more horror in it than the last 2 in this series, so I'll take it. And then this is more of a thriller mystery vibe, and then the 4th one, guys, I didn't even touch. I didn't even get to it, so we're just not even going to talk about it. I was going to read Gabby's book club pick from the book troupe, because it's now May and I haven't read it. So yeah, I'm a little bit behind now on my book troupe reading, so I'm gonna have to play a little bit of catch up, but I am okay with what I got to, especially with how things have been recently. But yeah, circling back to Jawbone, after I left you guys off, I did finish the writing retreat, and then literally with like, I would say an hour or 30 minutes to an hour to spare, I got through maybe like another 10% of end of watch. And then that night, I usually always miss the watch parties because she picks out a horror movie that we all can watch and do like a watch party in Discord together, but I usually miss it because that is usually when I'm like wrangling my kids for bedtime or spending more time with them before bedtime, and it's the weekend, so I do usually miss them. But I was like, I'm still gonna watch it this weekend. So Saturday night, I did watch it, and that's when I started my Jawbone little art side piece. And so I really try to pay attention to a classic horror story, I think is what it's called. It is on Netflix if you want to check it out yourself, but it is one of those that is in English. So you can either watch with subtitles or you can watch like with the like English like subbed over it, and then just like the lips don't really match up, which doesn't really bother me. I'm more of a, if I'm gonna do that, I'm just gonna read the subtitles so their lips match up. And you know, appreciate the other language. But I was like not really in the mood to just sit there and focus, and I didn't think my brain would just focus, so I did have to do the other way so that I could like work on my iPad and like, you know, do other things too. So James fell asleep maybe like 10 minutes in, and I just found it to be very, very strange. It was very different, which I went in blind. I haven't seen previews for this, I don't think. So it was very different. It's definitely horror. It's gory. It's almost like, I thought going into it was going to kind of be like a survival because a bunch of these strangers are like carpooling together, and you know, then kind of like shit goes down. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be like survival, and it kind of is, but then you throw in this twist. It almost feels kind of like a sci-fi twist, but is it really? Like, I don't, oh my gosh, so many thoughts on it. I think it was a decent movie, not like an all-time favorite horror or one that I would probably repeat watch all the time, but it was definitely interesting, to say the least. Trying to think so I don't forget anything. I think that was it. Sunday was just kind of a, sorry, things are kind of a mess in here right now. We have painted and like moved everything around in our living room the past week, and the boys' nuggets are like back there. Like, we don't have everything. I literally have nothing on my walls, so hopefully it's not too echoey, but it's getting there. We're making progress, you guys, and it's just been really cozy because Sunday night we wanted to have things as cozy as possible in here. We took a break and we finally put on Scream 6, and so I wore my shirt. We made some popcorn last night, and I really liked it. I think it was a really good one, and I knew going into it I was probably going to judge it really hard because although I do like the actors that are in this, I don't want to say series, but like the last one and this one, I do have to say, like, the whole thought of Scream 6 not being in Woodsboro, like, just really threw me off. But I actually did quite enjoy it, and I thought it was very interesting, and overall a really, really good movie. But just like I told James, because I have to like break it all down, I'm like, you know, I feel like the whole part of Scream is just like, yes, it's a horror movie, but it's also like kind of making jokes to like the horror movie genre, and there's always those like references about being in a horror movie, and you know, I just felt like, you know, the first one's a classic. It's always gonna be my favorite. It's the best one. But like the second and third one are not amazing, but what I love about them is the fact that they still held true to like that concept of kind of being almost like a scary movie, that franchise, but still like horror. And I kind of feel like from 4, 5, and now 6, they've kind of fell off that a little bit. But I will say with that is, I was telling James this too, I said, whenever you break it down though, like if you watch the first Scream from the 90s and then you watch other 90s movies, it goes so well together. Like, it is a 90s movie, and I love 90s movies. And then let's like fast forward to maybe like Scream 3, which I believe is like somewhere in the early 2000s, and it's very on par. It's not my favorite, but I do really like it because I like movies around there as well. Not as much as the 90s, but it's still, I feel like they've done a really good job of making the movie go with that certain time period of movies. But I just feel like a lot of the time then you can't really take a lot of horror seriously. A lot of horror was just kind of like silly horror. And then with the fourth one, it just wasn't for me. I mean, I like watching horror from around that time, but it's also kind of like, that is, I feel like when it's like really, really over the top. And then I think kind of a little after that, or sometime around that, is when I feel like horror started like picking up and stuff again. And now I feel like the 5th and the 6th one really focused in on the horror element, making it gory and scary, and I can really, really appreciate that, but I do kind of think it took away a little bit from like the joke side of it. I appreciate Randy's twin niece and nephew in the movie for still coming through with the iconic like lines and stuff about horror movies. But yeah, I do think it's really good. I don't think this is ever going to top what Scream was, but I do think that they have done a really good job with at least making it like fun and interesting, and something that does still bring that nostalgia back and make you like excited. And yeah, I mean, who's not excited to see Ghostface? So yeah, it was a weekend of reading some horror, watching some horror, getting stuff done, but yeah, it was pretty busy, and It's now Monday, the boys are at school, and I'm having quite the time myself jumping back into things. I'm just exhausted and to be finishing End of Watch hopefully today, if not tomorrow. I'm like really close. I think it's actually leaning on 5 stars, but it's not going to count towards my April. James also picked me up Unsolved Murders, so caffeine and crime, maybe I'll be coming back for you soon. But I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anything, but I do kind of want to start a new vlog for this week to kind of help like motivate me, and I've already been filming a little bit today, so yeah, stay tuned for the next one. But thank you guys for hanging out. Let me know if you participated in the Horrorathon, if that's how you find me, what you read. And if not, I hope that you join us for the next one, because I'm sure I'll be a part of Ashley's next one in June. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. See you in my next one. Trouble looking people in